Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We beat the last case, not the final. What? Last time we beat Enoch Drebber in proving that he was responsible for what happened, and someone else was responsible for the murder. It was very awkward and quite a debacle, and honestly, I didn't have great things to say by the end of it, but new case, new me, right? Let's go on and see what's happening in this new hotel I believe that we're in now. 1st November, 10:24 a.m. Great Waterloo Hotel foyer. Professor Mikotoba is due to arrive any moment now. Yes, I'm so glad that we're here in time. Oh, so Mikotoba's coming over. Alright, we heard about that, but... Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? That he was actually the mass murderer? The professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say the Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right. But for some reason, he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows, then, about Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he regained his memory now. God, he's like a mastermind of all sorts. Ah, there she is! Oh, okay, no, it's the... Oh my god! Holy shit, the judge! And Mikotoba! Holy fuck, they've got the British outfits on! I did not expect this. Holy crap, the judge without the hat. He's suddenly he's glowing up. Holy crap, these two. I just didn't expect it. Wow. Alright, starting off strong. Oh, father! Hello, Susato. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted that you've arrived safe and sound. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news comes across the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports as it arrives with the steamship from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. I almost caused an international crisis. Who is this man, and why do I feel as if I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. Ah, in that case, how about a little reminder, Shishiro? Seishiro? Shishiro? Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant Ryunosuke Naruhodo guilty. Ah! Oh! You're... our good old judge. Seriously, without the hat. Jesus Christ, this guy glows up. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency? It's actually quite interesting that the judge is taking such a big character stance in this. the most the judge ever shows up in the older games is in the investigation games. And he's still just referred to as the judge. He never gets a name. But yeah, okay.
Hello, Judge Jigoku. How are you? It's been a long time.
Good to see that you've remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty!
Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? No, there was no laughing at that time.
So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back.
Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though, really, I doubt anybody did. And to be honest, it's all thanks to you, isn't it, Shiro?
What are you talking about, Eugene?
Of course, Judge Jigoku. He must be complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar.
Well, all those passport checks and the luggage searches at the border took rather a long time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You wouldn't have to go through any of that, did you?
Ah, I knew you were jealous.
Sorry, ministerial status?
Yes, didn't you know? Shiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Is that even legal? To be a judge and a Minister of Legal... Okay, fine, whatever, I guess. We're in Ace Attorney land now. I'm sure you can have multiple jobs like that. I'm sure he could be the Chief of Police, too. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on the study tour.
Guilty as charged.
Oh, well, thank you very much. He really is every bit important as he looks. I think it's interesting that it should be pointed out, Kazuma's father and these two guys, they all have very similar faces, don't they? Without the beard, I feel like he would be very similar. And with his tash being different. Man.
Ah, yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday.
Oh, you did?
It appears that some things came to light in the trial you were involved in 8 days ago, not 8 years. About what happened 10 years ago, that tragedy.
Yes, could you tell us any more about it?
No, of course not. We don't talk about that. Nobody talks about that. You're going to learn about it yourself at some point, though.
So, how was the voyage here?
Well, 50 days at sea is a long time for anyone's standards.
But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago.
No, not that's true. Then I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for all our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience.
So you stopped at France's beautiful capital, Paris?
We did, yes, though only for one night. Yesterday's evening we left for the port of Dunkirk for Dover.
Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow.
It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. You know, I'm glad I actually gave Mikotoba the Professor Oak voice. Because it really differentiates him from the judge here.
I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Shiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to integrate himself with the Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say that I'm something of an appendage by default.
Speak for yourself, Eugene. You were close friends with the Professor of Forensic Science at the major hospital.
Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really.
Oh, no. It's been too much. There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then. But it doesn't bring him back.
Kazuma's father, I suppose. Professor of medicine, huh? Just give me a moment. That didn't work. Give me a moment. Alright, I just had to clear out my mouth a bit. It was getting a bit stuffy. Kazuma's father. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy. Aristocracy. Fuck! I've had this word pronounced so many different ways. Was it actually Kazuma's father? It was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't it?
That's correct. Genshin Asogi. Have you played that game yet? It takes a lot of memory, and it's also a gambling addiction in the making, but oh my god, is the waifus hot.
Genshin.
You knew, I presume, Father? Yes. He was a close friend at the time.
Genshin came to Britain as a police detective, and he was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts.
It was a close trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland.
What about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father?
No, of course not. He was told his father passed away from sickness.
However, I suspect he may have had his doubts.
Oh, why?
Because he's Kazuma, he always has doubts. As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day he came to my office at the university and said,
I've decided. I want to travel to Great Britain and study there.
Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death?
Man, wouldn't it be so interesting if they did a Von Karma here and Mikitaba was the actual killer and he took in Kazuma to try and keep him far away from figuring out what happened. I mean, come on. The parallels are there, you know.
I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him.
Oh. Something else came to light in the trial the other day, actually.
Oh? What?
Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and being missing for almost a year, Kazuma since turned up in London, working as an apprentice for Lord Van Zeeks.
What?
What? That's news to us.
So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. Oh, interesting. As you know, we both thought Kazuma died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January.
But he didn't die. He's very much alive. And you knew, didn't you, Father? In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your steamship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished.
We sent a team of investigators out to Hong Kong to try and ascertain what had happened, but to no avail.
But he's still alive? And here in London, as you say. I never dared to dream it.
Why on earth would a young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now.
Well, it appears that he was suffering from amnesia.
What? Amnesia?
When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't even know who either of us were.
I see.
He only regained his memory 8 days ago.
This is unbelievable.
Yes.
It's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently.
I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go visit him? A time in Britain.
That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Eugene here, Genshin Asogi, and myself, we were the original three. The first judicial scholars of Japan to travel overseas to study.
Ocean voyages were not like they were like they are today, I can tell you.
16 years ago, things were tough for their generation.
Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yumi University at the time. You know, young lady?
Yes, grandmother told me.
He went to research at Great London's hospital to study autopsy. Practically unheard of in Japan.
Yes, it was an eerie place sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground.
Now more talk of graves.
Very often, there was no one willing to deal with the bodies following an autopsy work. To deal with bodies.
So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons.
Not my cup of tea at all.
Do you remember that the Scottish prison governor? Hayden. His name was. He was a good man.
Yes, but of course, in our sixth year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of most gruesome murders.
I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years.
I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but
you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you?
Well, suffice to say, that was after the trial. That after the trial we were sent back to Japan.
There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly.
So am I right in thinking both of you didn't believe that it was him? Well, the judge clearly stated that he believed in his innocence, but Mikataba...
Well, if you'll excuse us now.
Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long.
I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here.
Susato-san's gone off in a run.
I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow.
Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck.
Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep a keen eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been.
Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me.
Well, I do appreciate you being here for her. That's, after all, I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Well, it was 16 years ago when I started that long study tour here in Britain, as you know. It was the very year Susato was born.
Yes, I've heard.
The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too.
Oh, yes, Susato-san hinted at something like that.
It was a rather turbulent time at home. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain.
I was too worried about you to leave you behind. So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London.
So, that's what happened in a nutshell. I didn't tell you everything, obviously, but I alluded to it. But that's essentially what happened. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say.
I completely understand, Professor.
Ah, one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you.
Oh, really? I wonder if this is going to get involved in the case, I wonder. Of course. What can I do for you?
Well, the thing is, Sorry it took so long.
Oh my god, it's the jury number 4? Or 5 from the first case. Or the first juror case. Trying to remember exactly who was on the jury at the third case. It was the dude that was passed out in the third case of this game. Then it was the maid. Then it was the dude with a knife. Oh god. There was an old lady, this guy, but who was the other one? I can't honestly tell you. I've completely forgotten. Miss Susato!
Now then, allow us to take your bags.
Allow me to take your bags.
One moment, if you please, Potter.
Of course, sir.
That machine around your neck, it's a camera, I believe.
Quite right. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir.
Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense.
Ah, yes, of course.
Aww. That's a really nice picture.
I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It has really made Father happy, I think.
Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotoba was about to ask me for something.
Shall we return to Baker Street then? I suspect that Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us.
Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. Let's take a look-see around first, though. Look at those cases just left there on the trolley. Aren't they worried about thieves? I know I am.
Haven't you heard of the porter over there? Don't worry, he's obviously keeping an eye on everything.
Ah, so it's a trap designed to catch any chancers who might be tempted. Why did the porter give me such a scathing look just now, do you suppose?
Well, some might say you look a little suspicious with your jetpack clothes.
I'm not wearing those. I'm clearly wearing the DLC outfit. Not everyone's clad in black as some sort of ninja with the intent to steal, you know.
That desk is known as the hotel reception. Anyone wanting to spend a night has to report there to sign in for the stay.
Oh, so you think that's the head clerk behind the desk there?
Yes, I'm sure it must be.
I'd love to stay in a grand hotel for like this for a little while, wouldn't you? Just to know what it's like.
If the hotel fee was paid through our stipend, I'm afraid it might bankrupt our homeland.
True, London gives the word expensive a whole new meaning. We're a lawyer. I mean, we've beaten multiple cases. I suppose we're on a study tour, but still, shouldn't we at least get some amount of a raise for how good we do? Eh. Have you seen all those sparkling jewels up there? They must have gathered every gem in the world for that.
Ah, it's called a chandelier, I believe. It's designed to provide elegant lighting in large, spacious rooms like this.
So they had to gather every gem in the world just to illuminate one room?
It's probably electric bulbs that are actually throwing the light.
If I tried to hang something like that from the ceiling in the office, it would be scraping on the floor.
I think perhaps chandeliers aren't for you, Mr. Naruhodo.
I ain't privileged enough for a chandelier. Ah! I click and for some reason that automatically like tries to detect something. It happens way too often. Anyway, there's the Crystal Tower. Or Eiffel Tower, one of the two really. Look at that, it's a picture of the Crystal Tower.
Well, the Great Exhibition is Britain's most prestigious achievements in recent years. I wonder how tall it is. It really does represent the pinnacle of scientific achievement in so many ways.
There's a 20-meter tall chimney on the bathhouse near my lodgings at Yumi University. The attendant there is always boasting that it's the tallest object in the neighborhood.
I'm sure. Did you know that over the channel in Paris, there's a tower that's 300 meters tall?
What? How many times taller than the chimney at Yumi Soskin Hot Springs is that? And if it's that tall, how does it draw properly? The smoke would get stuck, surely.
I don't think it's that sort of tower, Mr. Naruhodo. Why are you screaming at everything? Please. I said everything quite clearly and literally.
Well, let's go back to Iris's Shum suite. What is that?
A man is screaming. It's in the most unflattering way.
Do you think could it have been Mr. Sholmes?
Oh my, I hope not.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh?
Who are all these people? Look at their hair, it's bright red. Red hair? That's nowhere to be found in Asia. God, we're getting more accents, aren't we? Wonderful.
I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes.
Right, you two, you're coming with me now. Down to the clink.
No, not the prison. It's dark and damp and I don't like it.
Both the darkness is my friend. I'm not scared.
But you're always scared of the dark.
Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next darling heist.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't.
Well, tough.
We're finished down at the yard now. Get moving.
Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Iris. And, thanks. Thanks, you great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Bruno.
Hello, Iris. We're home.
Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Ah, yes, of course, he's not dead.
John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest problems known to man. I got red hair now. Really? But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe there's some tea is in order. Don't you, my dear fellows? You didn't even not just your hair, but your eyebrows too. Holy shit. Oh my god. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have crumbs or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say.
Come along then, everybody. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today?
In that case, let us sit down and drink now. For I am in fact expecting a guest later today. Oh, wonderful. Let's talk some more about... And just completely ignore the fucking redhead in front of us. Oh, I wish the profile had changed. That would have been fun. Okay. It's your two visitors.
Mr. Sholmes, who were those two gentlemen that were here before?
Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they tried to make a living. You have to make a living somehow. And when the mood strike takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manners of infractions.
When the mood takes you?
All manner of infractions. But when such fellows set their eyes on Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, well, that is when the luck runs out.
Oh my, they were trying to you are the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes?
But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to the young detective ally.
You should have asked Grexy to come too. We sure could have had an arresting tea party.
I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consumably in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Ah, I have it! A bungler! A bungler! That's the word. That's a good job that we're not here to hear you. He's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good?
I wonder what those men did.
Too bad we're not asking, I guess.
What's this about the greatest problem known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes?
How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution, my natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere. Possibly.
It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops.
Oh, wait, what? We were apes? Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the capra tree to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man.
Our lot? What is the great problem, Mr. Sholmes?
Why, it's not obvious. Is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent.
But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame de Spells only the other day?
Pshaw! A large sum?
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, hey Marco, you've joined, and Sherlock's got red hair, and it's yet to be explained why. There was like 2 other redheads that showed up, but they're gone now. Also...
Why is he red?
I don't know. Also, the, Mikatoba, Sasato's father is here, as well as the judge from Japan. And they're both super glowed up in their giant suits. Like, holy crap, do they look awesome. Nevertheless, 1 potted plant, herb for Iris, and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you.
Honestly, Hurley, you know better. You know you squandered it.
Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to the man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. And what was the answer? Why? There is a substantial clue, before your very eyes.
Don't tell me, let's see.
Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. But don't look. But observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end? It's been stabbing me in both my eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation.
I think we might need another clue before we uncover this full answer, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if the charade goes on any longer. Anyway, let's again ignore the clear problem here. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Over just a week ago, you'd said to us, I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. The great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Oh, now I'm pissed. That case aboard the SS Bruyere in January, Cosimo wasn't killed,
My
and you
brother
knew
is
that he
back
wasn't dead
from
at the
his trip.
time. Oh. I didn't know he was on a trip. So what was really going on? The fellow that was unconscious for a very long
I got a
time.
Burger King crown, which is Pog.
They still do that? Every time I've gone to Burger King, the whole room is completely empty. And there's only like 2 people behind the counter. Maybe like 1 person in the kitchen area, but yeah. The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you know now. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. That's when I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong
figured it
Kong
out.
as a murdered corpse.
Oh, how horrible.
It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why would you do that in the first place? It will be at liberty. I will be at liberty to elaborate on in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong.
Oh,
He has red hair because he got hit and is bleeding from his head and the blood colored his hair.
That would be exceedingly terrifying. Also, I'm fairly certain that would be too much blood to lose. Good God. I believe we may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Well, I'm not going to elaborate on anything further. Okay, what is this? The mask Casimir wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up.
we ought to give it back to him, I suppose.
But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? I can't help but feeling that he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself.
But isn't he your best friend?
Newspaper.
It looks like last week's edition.
What is that article circled in red ink there?
It is an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League."
Red-Headed League? What's that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but...
Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. Okay.
Was that?
I'm not sure. A Red-Headed League. Okay, to the Red-Headed League, on account of the behest of the late Queen Elizabeth Zika Hopkins of Lebanon, PA, USA, there is another vacancy open that entitles a member of the League to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on the morning of the 31st at the large park on Lime Street. Get £4 a week if you are a redhead. I suppose so. The most fantastic money-making opportunity. It's most likely a scam. You didn't see it, Marco, but two people were in here as well with redheads, and they were like taken away by Gina, the detective. So something went down. I guess representing that. It looks as though someone circled this advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes.
Get in my hair colored now.
To the Red-Headed League? Does it strike you in some way? I was just thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In first instance, it's quite indispensable observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes closed. Honestly, I thought about getting my hair colored sometimes, but I just see it as kind of an expensive thing. I don't want to like do it, find out I look way better with colored hair, and then have that become like a necessary thing for me to pay for over and over again. I can live with the haircuts, but not with dyeing hair. Especially if you don't do it annually, then it can look really bad once the color starts going out and the roots start taking hold again. Believe me, I could have seen it with my eyes closed. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Yes, let's go again. So what is the Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of this advertisement you've circled?
Haircut. Just let your hair grow, it's free.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky to have a mother who is a hair, or has the qualifications of a hairdresser. So I just get free haircuts. Super useful for me. You noticed it in the paper then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. Lucky. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me.
But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week?
But why? What are they paying people for? I do not know, but no details were given in the advertisement. Which means it's most likely a scam.
But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join that cause. Yeah, right, Susie. There's no time to lose.
That's 16
Put in
a
my
month.
application at once. So will I, just on the off chance.
Might be stretching it at this point. At a point, I think. £16 in a month. It might seem like little, but back then, during this time frame, that kind of money is like super good.
The trouble is, we have yet have a fixed number of members, you see.
Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away!
It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes.
So you decided to try and join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? So what on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. Oh my god, we're really just going through this entire thing, huh?
What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm glad you asked, Mr. Susato. What you see on top of my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight. By the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves. And in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that was, when taken, turns one's hair aflame like red. Would you like to try it? It'll make your every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass.
But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it is bad for you, isn't it?
Amateurs are always hampered by such fears.
Oh, I should have never doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say?
Of course. To earn £4 a week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That's the degree of red signals. More than just a little danger, surely. That degree.
So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with a new red head of hair. For the park on Lime Street, where the Red-Headed League was interviewing prospective new members.
So what went wrong? Well, park was chocked full with red-headed folk, like a Costa's orange burrow. Costa's, whatever. I queued for 8 hours solid before, at last, I reached the front, and when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning I looked in the mirror and irritation stirred within me. So I turned to that pair into the police.
Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads.
I still don't get it.
Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting guests today?
Indeed, Miss Usato, that is correct. Not another of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all! They were petty villains. The guests I'm expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of a great detective, no less.
Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes.
I returned. My mother told me there was tuna to eat and I immediately turned into a cat and chowed it down.
What type of tuna, though? I know that there's multiple times. Tuna typically is the same, but I'm wondering what it was based in. Was it water? Was it sunflower oil? Brine, maybe? My favorite tends to be sunflower oil tuna because it adds a little taste to it. You must stay in observant fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you now in my clutches, Rent. I have you right in my clutches, redheads. Just as I have you in my clutches, redheads.
Sunflower oil.
Yeah. That's the best one.
That hardy laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Doesn't feel as though you'll best wait around if you have other things. Don't feel as if you have to wait around if you have other things to do.
I chowed that down in less than 2 minutes. That's how good it is.
I typically have tuna pasta, which is tuna, pasta, and mayonnaise mixed all together. Well, we are not sticking around then. We could go to Lord Chief Strongheart's office. Let's have a talk with him. Oh, and Baron Van Zeeks is here. Barrack. Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. Oh, wait. Here's the final draft for the opening address of tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work.
I'm gonna play some more Ace Attorney.
Good. That's good. I actually expect that. I think it'll work well. Mystery solving together. You're welcome, my lord. What's Lord Van Zeeks doing here?
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. Oh, and they've seen us. My apologies, I didn't notice that you'd come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure.
From now on, you must dress white from head to toe whenever you come here.
Now then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord? I'm right here.
Also, I found a song that describes me. It goes like, I'm just Pete and I like jugs. I'm mentally ill and I'm on drugs LUL.
Wow. I don't really, I don't apply for the drugs part. Probably not mentally ill either. I understand how that part fits well with you, Marco. Although the drugs part, eh. Then again, alcohol is a drug, technically, so...
I say the
kill
drugs
me
is for the
now.
medicine.
Oh. I suppose. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you.
And because I drink.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I'd never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature. If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you are no doubt aware, the International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam.
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparations with the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. Don't look at me like that.
He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he?
I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years has recently been put out of action in a spectacular fashion. Oh, sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service?
Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe.
Ah, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, fear not, you've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's wrongdoings precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you've been giving me. Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job holding the fort.
The text writing SFX is confusing me.
Though disturbingly, his appearance has been missing. His apprentice has been missing since yesterday.
Oh, missing. What has become of Kazuma-sama now?
Well, let's get a talk with Lord Strongheart, I guess. The Forensic Science Symposium. Not long ago, and visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition
Since I hear yours
exceeded
and
30
mine, so
million.
I'm like, why is it playing twice not like this?
Sorry about that, but there's not much I can do about it. Although I'm pretty sure they never really changed the sound of it, did they? There are some characters that have the bleeps of the text sound a little different in pitch. I mean, but beyond that, nah. 30 million? Are there even that many people in the world?
As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital, Tokyo, is 2 million.
I will be opening International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. The event is in 2 days years in the making. 2 years of preparation and negotiations with other countries. Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the whole-scale adoption of forensics investigation techniques. And the cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why the landmark first symposium had to be hosted here in the heart of the Great British Empire. In order for the Scotland Yard to become the leading investigative organization in the New World. He's the same as ever, I see. The passion of his is quite something.
You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm the only one in this country who truly cares about the future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensics investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions.
Yeah, she was kind of like crazy, wasn't she?
I first established the forensics investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Seif at the helm, it was steadily accruing, okay. It was slowly accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing the name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensics investigation department.
And can you not do that now?
Obviously. Nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep the story out the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say.
Unintended repercussions of our trial.
We simply couldn't have overlooked what happened there. Of course not. We should all be grateful for you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become a good Attorney General. That might delay my plans, but I won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way.
About Lord Van Ziek's apprentice.
Ah, yes. That came as a surprise to me, I say. That you and he are old friends.
How did he become an apprentice of Lord Van Ziek's in the first place?
He came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man with an appendage was apprehended by the border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh my, so he stowed away to get here?
He had no papers to identify him, no passports, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there was no clues to who he was. So I decided assigning him to Lord Van Ziek's that I could keep an eye on him.
But then why the mask?
I didn't want to burden Lord Van Ziek's with the tiresome explanations of why he had an Eastern apprentice.
Because it would have been so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask.
He was proving to be a great help to Lord Van Ziek's. I have high hopes for his future.
By the way, do you know that where he's gone?
No idea. But I believe that he's left London for the time being.
Oh.
I take it you also didn't know? That man's father was one of the country's most infamous criminals, I mean.
Genshin Asagi. What we learned from the trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was...
Ah, yes. Genshin Asagi. The professor's case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain.
There were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon.
And no one could have believed that this culprit was a foreign student who was invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and it can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
Dick Gumshoe isn't the brightest also. I'm replaying the second case since I forget what happened and didn't know who the guy owning Blue Corp is.
Huh.
Honestly, Gumshoe will grow on you as the game goes.
in the later games, he definitely gets really better. Dick Gumshoe is the original detective of Ace Attorney, right? So he's got like a lot of he's very well liked in the fandom, especially since he's not overused either. I see. Honestly, I don't know if you have to do that, considering the third case doesn't really have a lot to do with the second case. It's more just like meeting Maya, Gumshoe, and finding out what happened to Mia, basically. I suppose also Edgeworth's introduction too. The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand. Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of this professor's apparent cause. What? Supporters of mass murder? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited the society as a whole. Or so few thinkers, or what a fair few thinkers of London believed anyway. Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it?
It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey.
Well, we're done here, I guess.
No, in the version I'm playing, once you have to investigate again is considered the third case.
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess, are we done then? Because I... Okay, yep. We went back here. Good to see. Ding, 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 ding. Ah, here's my guest now. My latest client with money to spend.
Oh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley.
Remember, Iris, we're at the present gripping by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how insinuating, save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you?
Oh dear, I'm afraid Hurley is a little can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due.
Fuck.
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, oh please, oh please.
Wow, juror number 2 from the last case.
Please find my husband. He's run away.
To upset me?
I beg your pardon?
Never mind, a personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam, be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please.
Of course.
What's the matter, Miss Susato?
Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I'm sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently.
Yes, now that you come to mention it. She was the juror of the last case. Evie, huh?
As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. I implore you to take this case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure.
Money and welfare of little consequence to me, madam. Being offered a case to solve is a reward enough.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're the picture of benevolence.
I will, of course, make some mental note of your offer, however, for cogent reasons. I trust that you'll remember your words also.
If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be?
Oh, me?
What I'm about to tell you, I would like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand?
Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you would say to me.
Ah, I see.
I can vouch for the gentleman personally, after all. He's hard of hearing. Why did I ever get my hopes up? Okay. So, we got the juror of this last case, Evie Vigil. A client has engaged services with Mr. Sholmes, has asked us, the great detective, to help track out her missing husband. Miss Vigil. Forgive me for asking, Miss Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps?
Oh my!
Pshaw! My dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite a lady to tea, you must do so in more gentlemanly fashion.
Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week?
Ah, I knew I recognized her. Yes, juror number 2.
The fate of the man's fate in the palm of one hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
I didn't quite recognize her because she was acting so differently now.
It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer, being hard of hearing, I mean.
Pardon?
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was flippery, really, nothing more.
Oh, look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in this corner. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Vigil. Tell us about your husband, madam.
Mr. Vigil, my daily, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here.
Okay. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by the appearance at least. How long have you been married?
It'll be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate to live quite comfortably.
That's what it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things.
Oh gosh!
You dress in the latest style. Your hat is clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have appeared, correct?
That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me.
Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in an incident or other.
Oh, that's exactly what I fear must have happened. Mr. Sholmes, I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will?
What exactly is your husband's line of work?
He is a warder in the prison.
A guard? That's somewhat unusual. So, your husband is a prison wanderer?
That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder.
Indeed? I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments, and he sees that they are carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does he mean capital Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he occasionally spends a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he's ruminated more handsomely for than the other warders. Of course, we make no intentions of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged?
Barley Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Really? Barley? Oh, what a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there's a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
Why does this keep happening? No! Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid you've lost me.
Ah, pray no heed, madam. Pay no heed. A private matter. This can't really be a coincidence, can it? Okay, your husband's disappearance. So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday.
I'm sorry, yesterday? That really is recent, laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away at his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return at home at night, but this is different. For him to not make any contact for the whole day, that certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever could have happened?
My dear Vigil, Miss Vigil, please calm yourself. Now, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas that my husband has only been missing for only a day. When I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Miss Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my detective powers to track down your husband anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to men for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it.
Oh, you have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
You only seek to put this suit's rent on your landlady's
Fuck you, Edgeworth,
in your
not like
landlady's
this.
purse. That's all there is to it. I think if you don't remember or if you haven't seen it yet, there is like one of the biggest memes in the S10 fandom, which is Edgeworth updating the autopsy report. It's considered one of the most egregious things ever done. Because it's like one of the first things that's ever done that. You're like, this is not legal in any way, but he just kind of does it anyway. Thank you for everything that you've shared with us, Miss Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me as soon as you have good news, sir.
That MF must be making shit up now. He said he had a new autopsy report, Sabaping.
It's literally like one of the biggest memes in the entire fandom.
Yes, you said exactly what happened.
It's a giant meme because if that happened in real life, he would most likely have lost his job from pulling that shit. Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a hardening report. I'm quite sure.
So soon? Oh,
Like,
how
bro, the
splendid,
fuck.
Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I should always say. If you'd be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Yes, and it's in my possession now. He has no particularly defining features, huh? Anything else in that picture? I mean, there's a gate. Fields of wheat. And yeah, there's not really anything super defining about his character. Thank you, and allow me to show you the door.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous.
Anyway, while my brain is being fried by Edgeworth, what is going on here?
Essentially, Sholmes got a case of a missing person from this lady who was on the jury last case. Apparently her husband has gone missing for who knows where, but apparently he's only been missing for like a day, so the police aren't really super willing to like treat it as a missing person thing. So she's just like kind of freaking out over a dude missing for a day. Apparently he's the kind of executioner kind of dude who like kills people who are sentenced to capital punishment. He's the one that like pulls the switch or whatever it is that they do.
You know, I think every time, Hurley. But how did you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course, but I didn't swear on it. I merely give the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent! What did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn that where her husband worked, at Barley Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that.
Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Oh, he's back. Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear end of Barley Prison. It was renowned to all of us students in the university for being haunted by the ghosts of the condemned convicts. Sorry, I'm not doing his voice again. He's gone. He's done.
Barley Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated.
The professor. And now a wanderer from the prison has mysteriously vanished. A warder. It would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed, but nothing you can't handle, I'm quite sure, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison, see what you can glean, would you? It's a prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen with this hair.
Today we are here to choose the form of punishment for Sir Lucas III. Off with his head, understood. He shall give head to every man and will eat out every woman in this room. Wait, no, that's not what they said, Sabaping.
Jesus. Holy crap. Honestly, how would you want to die in the old days? Because lethal injection wasn't a thing. So there was like electric chair, guillotine, firing squad. Yeah, like there wasn't like many. I think firing squad would probably be the best, as long as one of them had good aim enough to shoot you in the head. But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? It was quite a different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Of course you are. And Iris? Oh? Oh, Iris has just disappeared. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to the prison. Barclay Prison is on the outskirts of London, backing into the lonely burial ground. Four high outer walls loomed quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. Oh my, what the fuck? Who would even want something like this? A clock guillotine? I don't even know what to say. Someone has to be beyond deranged to think of something like this. Even in general. The game creator who thought of this is just insane. Let me guess, the freaking governor's French or something. Oh my god, we got it back. This place is full of hardened criminals. I cannot remember the last time a civilian was done here. And you didn't want to talk to an inmate, but to me? Oh my goodness, what a man. Do you know who I am? I'm the governor,
You're asked to pick one
Barry
form
Cullen.
of torture. Stretching chair wheel table thingy, trapped in solitary confinement for a week or run for a whole 2 days without breaks.
Solitary confinement, without doubt. As long as I'm getting food and water, I can live by myself for a week. My mind is like the most expansive thing in the world, right? I can live with my mind alone for a week. Then again, I'd probably have to shit on the floor or something, which would be suckage. Or the toilet that they gave me, but I feel like I could still survive that. Yep. Oh, yes. It's a pleasure. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. And an Easterner, I see. Does that mean? Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? Did you say Japan? Yes? Well, there's no any of your kind here, laddie. Maybe you should try the prison next door, eh? I didn't notice another prison next door, sir. Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I didn't like to be so direct, but... If you've got no intention of speaking... I got no intention of speaking with the likes of you. Suspicious-looking Easterners. Now get out of my hair! So as soon as he finds out that we're from Japan, he reacts like this. That surely means he's racist. I think it's because of the professor case. You think so too? 10 years ago, gentlemen... I know what happened! He was incarcerated in the prison and then he killed 5 people of really great standing, and then he re-emerged from the grave and then got shot. I might have known. You're sniffling around about that case, aren't you? Your agent, sir. Part of the professor's great web, no doubt. No, not at all. We're just... Get done with you before I punch your lights out. Look, we're going. Clearly the ghost of the killer still haunts this place. We're not going to get anywhere here unless we're able to prove to this man that we're nothing suspicious about us. Governor Caden. What are you thinking, Mr. Sato? I feel sure that the names come up in conversation somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned him might have some ideas of helping us. Come to think of it, I have the same feeling. Yeah, but I guess we're just gonna have to go somewhere else. Is it these two there? Was it? Yeah, there's Mikatoba. He's having a fine sit right now. That's Professor Mikatoba over there.
Ah, hello, you two. I was just taking a moment to catch up with the world now that I'm unpacked.
But where's Judge Jikoku?
Yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taking off to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs. Having only arrived in the country today, goodness, he's full of energy.
Professor, you mentioned something before about how you'd known the prisoner governor at Barley Prison.
Oh, Governor Caden, you mean?
So he does. So it is the same man.
Father, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us, said that we were suspicious Easterners. Well, I'm sure if I accompanied you, it would be a very different story.
Oh, would you? That would be wonderful if you have the time now.
Sadly, as you can see, I'm very busy at the moment.
Busy drinking coffee on a comfortable settee?
Now, I have a rather lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud, did I? I didn't say that out loud, did I? You Mikatobas are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts.
Or could it be that you Naruhodos are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts? Let's not fall out now. I have an idea. Let me write you a little recommendation.
What is he writing on that piece of paper?
Here's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully when he sees my name, he'll change his tune.
Ah, thank you. Letter of introduction has been entered into the court record.
Good luck then. Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Groose. First class cabin 001. Yokohama departure 11 September. London arrival 1st November.
Ah, so the boat that the professor and Judge Jokoku came from Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I think it was called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for the night before finally arriving in Dover.
To think it's almost been a year since we arrived at Dover on the SS Bruya. It seems like a shame that to not keep a ticket as a memento of the trip, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. And I have mine safely in my diary.
And I have mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone?
Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo?
Did I imagine it, or was that comment actually accompanied by a little sigh? Okay. I guess that's necessary enough. Professor Mikatsuba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not at the least bit untrustworthy. Is it me, or does he make me sound extremely untrustworthy?
I do wish he'd call you at least a nice young man.
At least he called you that. I'm really not sure that would help. Well, thanks for that, Mikatsuba. Let's go back to the prison now. Give him the letter of recommendation. If you would just cast your eyes over this, Governor Caden.
What is it then? You cannot pull the wool over my eyes, you good-for-nothing Japanese student. Mikatoba. That young jock from the forensics laboratory. That Mikatoba.
Yes, him.
Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I'm Eugene Mikatoba's daughter, Susato.
Shit, you're the young man's daughter? Why, and you didn't think to mention that before?
I do apologize.
Aye, well, you best take a seat then. I could offer you a cup of tea, perhaps. I didn't forget to... Oh my god, he's got a little cookie. Oh my god, a little biscuit. Oh.
I didn't forget to try one of these wee handcuff biscuits.
Handcuff biscuits. Oh. Could you say that the 8-bit
My
biscuits?
father is such a prevert. He asked if I'm on my phone so much because I have an app for chicks for sex and that shit not like this.
Oh my god. Well, you can tell him that I am not a chick, so... If that'll make it better, I don't think it would, though. Your father's influence is nothing short of amazing. I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset now.
I stayed quiet.
I see.
So then, what can I do for you, Hen?
Well, we're currently investigating a case. It's one of your warders, you see. He's gone missing.
Missing?
That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prisoner governor.
I haven't heard nothing of the sort. There's no missing persons in my prison.
Oh. But how can that be? It's Mr. Daily Vigil, your chief warder.
Vigil?
That's right. His wife came to see us and asked us to investigate his disappearance. Let's skip the part about him only being going missing for yesterday for now. Clearly that means something to him. Would you be so kind as to tell us what you know, sir?
Aye, of course.
We understand that Mr. Vigil was a chief warder here in the prison.
Aye, that he was. A strong sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about that. He's a fine warder.
Sorry, did you say was?
Aye, he doesn't work no work here no more. He left the job.
Oh my. When was this exactly?
There's a question. When was it about? Can't have been much less than 10 years ago now.
What? 10 years ago? He stopped working here 10 years ago.
Aye, as I mind it. Do you can haven't heard of the fella's name in all that time? That's a worry if he's gone missing though.
But if Miss Vigil had made no mention of it. I think perhaps Mr. Naruhodo, that his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's been unaware that he no longer works here. Governor Caden, can you please tell us what happened? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here?
That important, is it?
Yes, I believe it may. May be. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't help but wondering, given that it was 10 years ago. Ah! Which is exactly when the professor had been held by this prison. So Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of chief warder 10 years ago? Jesus Christ, we haven't even gotten a dead body yet. He resigned from being a warder 10 years ago, you're telling us? What happened to make him leave the job?
In actual fact, he didn't leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter.
You mean he was dismissed?
It was after a particular walk.
Sorry, a walk?
Aye, that's all word for it here. The walk to the gallows.
Ah, an execution.
It's the job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows. She and oversee any executions, you see. Only Vigil did something unthinkable on the last walk he was manning.
What did he do?
Oh no, I gotta cross-examine April May now Sabaping.
Oh no. Get ready for the boob jiggling. Because that happens a lot. I'm sorry, but I cannot reveal that information. But I can tell you that it's very rare for a chief in Warder to be relieved of his post. It's very rare. I need to remember that as a line to get into his voice for later. But why wouldn't Miss Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here. I wouldn't can know anything. I wouldn't know about anything. Then is that it? I wouldn't know about anything about that, I'm afraid.
Ah, help the boob jiggling snip bonk.
Can you perhaps answer one question about the circumstances of a dismissal?
And what would that be then, Kin?
The last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for oversee. Was that by any chance the
You got
professor's?
My thoughts exactly. I'm sorry, I really am. But I'm not at liberty to answer that. Professor Mikatoba.
My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensics medicine. But you seem to have been well acquainted.
The dead room, the prison, the cemetery has a lot to do with one another. After all, they all need a fresh corpse's forensics research. Dear kin, in?
Yes, I can imagine. The advancement of medical science isn't particularly palatable.
Your father worked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard. In the basement of St. Sinner's. It's still being in use today.
St. Sinner's? That came up before, I'm sure.
Naruhodo, you have a terrible memory. That's the frickin' hospital.
Yes, that's right, we've been there.
Or is it the forensics office? Can't remember, actually. Now I'm the dimension riddle one. Mikatoba and I have to use to ride the Mikatoba and I have to use to ride in the carriage together to negotiate terms.
Or like fresh material, I suppose.
Aye. And when we used to sit in there for hours and grab a boot, and gab on about dissection and all sorts. Ouch, it takes me back. Ouch, it takes me back. Oh, I put a tea and a plate of cuff biscuits, of course.
How charming.
He was a good fellow, your father. Reliable and dead set on his work. But I'm afraid I'll never understand you Japanese.
Because of Genshin Asagi, I suppose.
Well, I cannot tell you anything else.
Thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Oh, one more thing. One moment before you go your way then. I'm sure I have it here somewhere.
He's got a fucking axe on his fucking art. Are you serious? You really do love the fucking execution stuff, don't you?
I found it. Here. Take this as a wee souvenir of your visit to the prison. Back.
What is it?
Last Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course.
Oh my, sure?
Aye, it's no trouble at all. It's not the original, mind.
Thank you very much,
Why
Governor
the poop
Caden.
jiggle? Why God, why do you make me suffer?
Chief Warder Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect of violating Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for Prisons. All rights to reducency pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked. Reason for dismissal: aiding and abetting the escape of the prison of convict just before prior to his execution. Details of the escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with inquiries will be expected. Prisoner Governor Barry Caden. It's nuts. Indications are that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with the prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. Interesting. Thank you very much, Caden.
Well, in return, do me a favor and never come back here. The case is closed.
Well, I do think we'd ought to return to Baker Street for the time being.
Yes, I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Sholmes with what we found out about Vigil. What will he tell Miss Vigil, I wonder? Okay, here we go. 1st November, Sholmes Suite. We're back! Hello, you two.
Hello, you two. I thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all.
Ah, so that's what the delicious smell is. Greetings, my dear fellows! Fucking hell. I was just about to say that scones are way too dry and bland for me. Even with jam or sugar, they're just not worth biting into for me. I prefer crumpets at the very most, but scones just overdo it in how dry they are. I mean, if you like raisins, I guess, but I'm not a massive fan of them, so... Greetings, my dear fellows! You returned a good deal sooner than I was expecting. Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes?
Say nothing. Your reports are written all over your faces in any case. It turns out that it may have been advisable to test my hair color restoration tonic before application.
Oh my.
Pray tell me what is of our wanderer friend, water friend. Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes. Something very surprising, in fact. Though it's not a patch on your hair, to be honest.
No, it most certainly isn't. But still, we've discovered that...
Sholmes!
Ooh. Drop everything, Sholmes. This is more important.
Gina?
I can't Adam and Eve it. What's happened?
Your Honor, what the fuck? Why do you ask if I want to cross-examine?
It's true. Why do they... The thing with S10 games is they do have a lot of... Do you want to continue playing the game, or do you want to have, like, a short moment where the character goes...
Hold it!
He was murdered?
No, not crazy.
Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story.
Oh my fucking god. Wait, this can't be right. Gregson, the freaking detective we've been literally dealing with the entire first game and this game. Oh my goodness. The inspector's death. Have you seen his cheers, Gina? Inspector Gregson was he really shot?
I don't know much about what happened myself yet. They're still investigating the scene.
Where did this take place?
A little rented room in the building full of flats on Fresco Street.
The outskirts of town? Nowhere near his home. He was perhaps investigating a case then.
The thing is, no one was at the yard knew nothing about no case around there. Oh, how strange. The boss was... It was so good to me. I know I ain't up to much yet, but one day I was gonna show him. I was gonna show him I'd become a proper detective. Oh, Ginny.
Wow. This doesn't even seem real. So, who did this? Do you have any idea who the culprit is?
They got him already.
Already?
Already?
They caught the shooter so soon.
A witness reports something was going on, and the boys got straight down there and took care of it. Who was the awful person who did this?
Vigil, isn't it?
I still can't believe it myself. Gina? It was the Reaper.
Oh, whoa, wait, the Reaper? Barak? Wait a minute. You don't mean they arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it?
That's right. The Reaper bloke's gone. He shot the boss.
No, Lord Van Zeeks? This is beyond what I thought would happen. Are you quite sure, Miss Lestrade? It's Barak Van Zeeks the police had arrested.
I saw him with my own eyes in the interview room in the yard. I don't believe it. But those were witnesses, and they were all saying it was him. So you mean there were actually multiple witnesses? They heard the gunshot, apparently. And when we lot got to the scene, there was only the boss and the Reaper bloke in the room.
But there's no way for Lord Van Zeeks to have taken Gregson's life. I just don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
Holy shit. Thank you for coming to us, Miss Lestrade. This is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry.
What are you saying sorry for? You didn't do nothing. Well, anyway, I'm taking a cab over to the scene now. Please come and all. As soon as you can. You gotta help.
It's a detective's lot to appear whenever the sinister plot is unfolded. Little wonder we look so haggard. Sometimes these things are almost too much for the nerves. Mr. Sholmes?
What use is there in being a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming, How could I let this happen to Gregson? To Gregson!
Mr. Naruhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes, we will too. It would be helpful if you could talk to the Reaper, to Mr. Reaper, and see what you could glean. I'm sure you were intended to do so anyway. Until later, then. Jesus. Inspector Gregson dead, and Lord Van Zeeks arrested.
Bruno, Susie, I called you a harem.
A harem?
A handsome. He's waiting outside.
Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Miss Susato?
Yes.
Oh boy. A lot has just happened in the moment. Alright, we're gonna go to the prison first and talk to Barak. Hello. Woe is me at candlelight. There he is, Lord Van Zeek's behind bars.
So it's true? He really was arrested?
He's sitting with his back to the wall reading something. I don't think he's noticed us. Lord Van Zeeks. Fancy meeting you here. This is the last place on Earth I'd like to be. The person on Earth I'd like to see. You're the last person on Earth I'd like to see. Honestly, it was genuine coincidence I put Barak at the bottom there, next to the characters' placements, because I didn't know who was going to be a character in this one. So, yeah, wow, okay. That worked out perfectly. I couldn't very well not come. We heard what happened, that Inspector Gregson was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you.
But... Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him. At the very least, we owe it to him to find the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please.
There's really nothing I could tell you. What were you reading back of the cell there? Let me just... That's not... Was it something related to the case? This? The yard is quite so cavalier with its information as to share details with the suspect. Isn't so cavalier. This is a letter from an old acquaintance.
Oh, who might that be?
Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. Of course, yes. I keep forgetting that they went to the same university. And I would like to read my correspondence in peace, so let us get this over with, shall we? What is it that you want to know? Strange. I mean, let's face it, Lord Van Zeeks never minces his words. But they seem to have less bite than usual somehow. What happened? Can you at least tell us your side of the story, Lord Van Zeeks? What happened? How much do you already know?
We know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room in Fresno Street.
And that you were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene and immediately arrested.
We were told that there was nobody else in the room and some witnesses heard a gunshot.
Then you are well informed. And there is really nothing I can add. The truth is, I don't know what happened myself.
But the gunshot! Obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you?
I'm not in the habit of shooting people I work alongside. I also heard the noise, however. Before I had a chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers.
So he doesn't actually know what happened.
Bullshit! You're hiding shit.
If I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with?
I don't need to answer that.
Oh.
After all, you're not representing me.
He's going to need a lawyer, though.
Did OBS crash?
Did it? Are you not? Oh, did something Did it crash? Are you hearing me? Are you seeing me? It says that I am streaming, so it might have crashed for a short period of time.
The stream ended.
Oh, did it? Well, I think it's possible I lost connection, if anything. It's still running for me. But I do notice that the broadcasted time is reset. But my live
You
time
are streaming,
is...
so I might have crashed.
Okay. It might have been... I don't know then. Because I haven't seen any drop frames, but it could have... I don't know. Hopefully nothing looks bad in the VOD. I'll re-look at this point 2 hours in to see if something did happen. Who's going to be representing you in court, Lord Venzeeks? Actually, let me just make a quick check just to make super sure. Shut up, me. Okay. It does say that it's the timer of my stream is at 11:42. So it's possible that there was just like a slight turn off or something. Well, bound to happen some days, I'm sure. Whatever. Not what I can do about that. Well, back to the game. Hopefully I didn't cut out too much dialogue. Who is going to be representing you in court, Lord Venzeeks? Anyone other than you, I should imagine.
Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation yet?
Defense lawyers shy away from any trial involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know. But this is different. In my career, all the defendants I've prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now.
Surely not.
I assure you, no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole. But you didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you? It's been 10 years now that I've known the Reaper of the Bailey. I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of the killer more than I. However, it seems things may come to a head before I have a chance to uncover the truth of that.
What does he mean by that?
After the trial, Professor Harebrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought. There's a letter to inform me of his safe arrival at home. I arranged for the passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He's now beyond the reaches of the Reaper.
Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean?
Yes, so it seems. Your stooped little Japanese friend, for example. You told me that he was keeping well in Japan. Well, when I inquired him the other day.
Yes, that's right.
He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo.
So Professor Harebrain is safely back in Germany now?
You know, I've just thought, it's possible that Gregson died in order to keep Gina safe, since she was another person who was supposed to be a victim of the Reaper. I wouldn't be surprised. He is. So, it appears our conversation has run dry. That was a 2-second silence, that's all. Well, in any event, if you excuse me now, I wouldn't like to detain you. I was wondering, Lord Venzeeks, if you'd like, I'd be happy to advocate for you. You trust me, do you? Yes. I've heard that you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just my feelings can't be used as evidence in court of law, sadly. It's a very gracious offer, however. I trust no one. What? Not the police, not the judicacy, and not you Nipponese. But please. I have no intention of engaging your services. The chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. I'd appreciate it if you don't visit me again. Then neither of us will waste any more time. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper and find out more about Lord Van Zieks and what happened to Gregson. Just making sure that's what I saw. Yeah. Well, bye-bye. Is his body still here? That'd be really bad to see. 1st November, room of Fresna Street. Oh. His body's not there, but definitely see the outline. This really is an out-of-the-way part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. So dust-ridden, rented old rooms is where it all happened then.
So this is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life.
Yes, and the police are already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Sholmes anywhere, though. Up there he is. Damn. Perhaps his investigation have him taken elsewhere? Have taken him elsewhere?
Oi, what do you think you're doing there? Every one of them drawers has got to be taken out, right out, so we can look underneath all of them all. I want the space above the ceiling checked. And don't forget to look inside the chimney stack too. Blimey, ain't you lot never done an house looking for dough when the owners are out of town?
Gina, Jesus. Gina's obviously got some unique investigative techniques she wants everyone to adopt.
Oh, you've turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself.
Hello again, Gina.
Sholmes and that had only just left. You're lucky you missed that. He went prancing around here, pointing at stuff, flicking her and flicking that at of his, and just scarpered. Oh, he's finished investigating already, you mean? Yeah, he didn't stop to say nothing to no one, not even me.
Gina, would you mind if we investigated too?
Listen, Odo, you're a lawyer, right?
Yes. Why?
Well, you're not thinking of trying to help that Reaper bloke, are you?
Oh, poor Gina. She's never gonna forget, is she? The trial will haunt her forever.
Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zieks really is responsible for the crime, then he will be duly and fairly judged in court. I suppose you're right, yeah. Go on then, Odo. Get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here.
Thank you, Gina. Well... Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place?
That's what I want to know.
It's...
What? Half a year since I've got out of the clink. That's when I decided to give up being me diving and becoming a detective instead.
Oh yes. Mr. Sholmes twisted this inspector's arm to agree to take you on as an apprentice, didn't he?
Something like that. I think, anyway. The point is, I didn't really know much about the boss till then. But turns out, he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he managed to solve some really tricky case, just like that.
He did?
Yep. Ever since then, he started going out on all sorts of investigations. Oh, but always on his own. No one else at the yard knows what... half the cases he's been working on here, apparently.
That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? So what was the legendary inspector doing in this dingy little room like this?
I know I had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. And look where that landed him.
Respect for the Reaper? In what way?
I had him say as much. I take my hat off to that fella, were these words.
Not how the public feels, is it? Most people are terrified of the Reaper.
Yeah, the boss said that's exactly why he respected the bloke.
I didn't realize Gregson had held the Reaper in such high regard.
He said something else to me and all. That I didn't need to worry about the Reaper because he only goes after people who what are bad. It kind of set my mind at ease when he said that.
Right. What is this place then? Does anyone live here?
Apparently it's been rented by some cove called Hugh Bone. Hugh Bone?
It's sort of here today, gone tomorrow name, isn't it?
Yeah, he's what we call an unidentified person. We haven't been able to get in touch with him.
I see. Well, judging from appearances, I'd have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever.
Right. If the lads from the yard piled down to get stuck into investigation. But there's so little here that no one knew what to do with themselves.
Gina, my beloved.
I do wonder.
Yes, Miss Susato?
Well, could it have been this Hugh Bone? Is in fact Inspector Gregson himself?
What? How could he be?
Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that he was in fact some kind of secret office of his. This was some secret office of his.
I'd never considered that.
Nice work, Suze. Yeah, we're actually following that line of inquiry ourselves, like that ourselves.
You are?
If you look around the room, you'll see that there are a few things that hint at it.
Should really investigate this place in detail. The incident.
I see that's where poor Inspector was found over there.
Oh god, there's a red wig.
Yeah, that's right. They said it was a single bullet what did him in. Apparently the bullet went right through him and struck the candle tree at the wall, on the wall.
Oh yes, it's blown out one of the candles apart completely. I like both of them, but okay.
And the gun you used on is there on the floor. It's the Reaper's, in it. No denying that.
What, really?
How do you know that? Take it easy! I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with those big wide eyes. I was just saying what I've heard. I don't know much about guns myself. But there's some big wig lawman or whatever who said so. Why don't you ask him?
Big wig lawman, is it?
Anyway, Frisner Street runs along the under the window there. There were some street sellers just outside who heard the gunshot.
Who's going to be the prosecutor then, I wonder? I just realised that if Anzieks is being charged, then,
Oh, but don't recall seeing anyone outside. Yeah, they've been taken down to the yard for questioning that's what. They're talking about the Yard's legacy inspector here, after all, getting a grilling.
Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves?
I doubt it. The lads at the yard will want to know what you're snooping for. And you'll be up for grilling and that. And all.
Jesus. So we can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. Okay, let's investigate. We got a picture over here.
Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members. Ah!
What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head.
They are! Look, Mr. Naruhodo, quickly!
Oh, no. Why do I feel like I've seen this woman is familiar? Naruhodo, your memory is fucking atrocious.
Of course she's familiar. We met her only this morning.
Ah! It's Miss Vigil.
This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Miss Vigil here?
Oh my god, that's Inspector Gregson, isn't it? As a young man. The eyebrows match up, don't they? Come on. Is that what it is?
To be frank,
I don't think I've ever become more stumped.
I'm sorry to say I have no idea either.
No, don't tell me. No, Gregson.
Yep. I'm sorry to say, Marco, but Gregson apparently has been shot and killed. Apparently Barak has been stated to be the killer. Which is all kinds of insaneness happening. An empty fireplace makes the room feel even colder than it would have otherwise, doesn't it?
It's thick with dust, look. I think it would be fair to say that it hasn't been used in a very long time.
In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy to cold weather.
Or anybody lived here at all and merely visited the occasional rose.
Ugh, Jesus.
I wouldn't like to say which is more likely.
No, that's right. It's one or the other. Anyway.
This looks like some sort of notice board of something.
It looks absolutely covered in scraps of paper.
Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, look!
Is this what you mean? It's an autopsy report, isn't it?
There are case notes here, and details of prison inmates.
Yes, in fact. There are all sorts of documents and only a detective would normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room?
Some old newspaper cuttings. Ah! And this one here.
Oh, yes. The advertisement, you mean. To the Redheads League. But why? What's that doing here?
Whoever occupied this room is so clearly interested in it for some reason.
Excuse me? Oh, Inspector. Oh, duh. Oh, man. Can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he's so upset. Oh, Inspector. Oh! Oh. Excuse me? Sorry, sir. Can't see a thing, sir. Too many tears, sir.
Right, perhaps we'd better leave you to your work then. And you, sir? Excuse me?
If you're looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector, don't worry. We'll look after things in the yard.
I've interrupted some deep thoughts here. There. This is presumably the murder weapon then.
Oh my! It is real, I suppose.
I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan. I really know little about them. And ironically, they're very rare in Britain now.
There's only one way to shore, Mr. Naruhodo. Fire a shot.
No. If I did that, I'd be looking for a skilled lawyer to represent me in court. Surprisingly safer just to ask somebody who might know, I think. Gina doesn't know much. Oh, what's this? A big lawman, apparently.
It would appear to be a little model policeman. It's rather charming, isn't it, in a way?
Seeing as it's on the floor here, do you think it belonged to Inspector Gregson?
It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Zeek's playing with something like this.
It's only about 8 centimeters tall. It would have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. I think we ought to record it as evidence, just in case.
Yes, I agree. It's rather delightful, after all, in a way.
The helmet of this charming young policeman
Appears to be a little worse for wear.
I'm not convinced
I
about
ain't joining for
this
any more
charming part.
Great Ace Attorney streams. I'm avoiding spoilers.
I can completely understand that. But, yeah. Because they're getting closer to the end of the game, there's going to be spoilers for, like, basically all of the previous cases, basically. And a lot of the previous characters. So I can understand why you wouldn't want to spoil yourself for that. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly manhandled. Almost as if someone has enjoyed twisting it around for fun.
So don't join next streams. OKCYA.
Yeah, basically every time I'm streaming a Great Ace Attorney, don't be joining, basically. I don't think it'll be too long before I'm done with the game anyway. Although then again, it might be like 8 streams from now, considering how it's been so far. Shall we try twisting it around and round, too, for fun? Oh, what is that? It appears to be some sort of key. But it's so tiny, I thought it'd be a key for a door, but not that size. What is it for, I wonder? A key-like shaft to drop out from the base. It looks like some sort of key.
Yes, it does. It's a very tiny and simple key.
What is this little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman in the first place? What is it for? We all have to wonder sometimes, don't we? So I suppose this is where the victim...
That's right. The rope is laid out around the body to show exactly how it was found. Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away.
And it would probably be under Dr. Sife's scalpel by now, if it not for what happened last week.
From the shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in the ball. Are you feeling all right, Mr. Naruhodo? You look as if you've seen a ghost.
I know it's just rope, but, well, it conjures up
quite a terrifying image, that's all. Especially with the bloodstain next to it.
Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we picture in our minds can be even worse than reality.
Susato-san is so strong, though. She's taking this far better than I am. Ever since we came in here, I can't take my eyes off that thing.
Oh, funnily enough, neither can I. It's a hairpiece, isn't it?
It's a hairpiece, isn't it?
It is! It is! A bright red hairpiece.
And I suppose the fact that it's right next to where the body was found means that it'd have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it?
And it's such a flame-colored red, too.
Yes, that's a color we've come across very recently somewhere everywhere elsewhere, haven't we?
Yes, it's a vital clue, I'm sure of it.
Presumably belonged to Gregson. I've always wondered what the underside of a headpiece looks like. A hairpiece looks like.
Doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you?
That's not quite how I'd put it. You must have to use a lot of bed lime to keep it in place on your head, so it doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean.
That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think?
The top of one of the candles in this candle holder has been completely blown off. They're talking about this one specifically.
Yes, and there's wax splattered on the wall behind. Look.
I suppose if the bullet had hit, it does seem likely that the bullet have hit the candle, having first passed through the inspector's body. Ugh, now that the wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Somebody very haphazardly nailed the boards over the broken glass, haven't they? You couldn't very well call it a window anymore.
Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsume's room, that was totally blocked up by bricks. This one does at the very least. Let some light in, so you could say...
You could say nothing about it. I'm starting to feel like even more sorry for Mr. Natsume now. Okay. That's everything from this point of view. Alright, Gina. Got some presenting to do. First of all, what the fuck is up with the wig? Gina, what do you make of this?
What's that, evidence? Like something else? What happened, have you?
No, not exactly.
I ain't been long enough on the job to get all this deducting business yet. But I swear I'm gonna be getting the person who did this to the boss.
Nope. What about the gun? You said bring it to a lawman, right? Okay, nothing. Right. My first thought was Barak, but he doesn't want to talk to us anymore, so I'm guessing possibly... Great Waterloo? Yes, yes. We're done with this, apparently. What about Lord Strongheart? I mean, we definitely have to talk to him about what happened to Barrack. You've made good time. I took the express train back to London. It's gonna be the judge, isn't it? I heard Lord Strongheart. Can you?
Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone.
Oh my god, it's Kazuma. Is everything in place? Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train so I could check all the paperwork.
It's Kazuma-sama.
Ah, your time is impeccable.
Is it? It is it?
No doubt you have heard the sickening news about the Reaper's latest devilry.
Yes. I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. But Lord Barrack Van Zieks could have done such a thing to Inspector Gregson.
I believe in only the facts. And the facts of this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusation of Lord Van Zieks for his crime. We must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective.
Oh no, surely not.
It is a truly regrettable situation. Tomorrow, for the forensic science symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, you can show the world our justice system's swift and equitable process.
Does that mean the trial is tomorrow?
Yes, we're not wasting any time. Precisely. In fact, this is a fine opportunity for introductions. Kazuma. Ah, but of course, you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Osogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings. Leading the prosecution. I had a feeling.
Wait, what? Kazuma?
As I'm sure you are aware, he's a very capable practitioner of law.
Kazuma-sama, as a prosecutor?
Hello. This is my stand. Tomorrow's trial. I'm sure you can imagine tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no. All people of the Empire will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. There will be no salvation. There'll be no salvation for anyone in the trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey, and now the Reaper himself must stand at the dock. Quite so. The public wants answers about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those escaped convictions subsequently died mysterious deaths.
But Lord Van Zieks firmly denies any involvement in such matters.
And there's been a thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it had been. At least until now. No, tomorrow's trial will mark the new chapter of our country's great judicial history. If I had to guess, the whole idea behind this is going to be like Gregson was investigating Van Zieks and was proving that he was in fact culpable for the deaths, and Van Zieks had to kill him. Okay. Prosecutor Osogi. So Kazuma will be prosecuting tomorrow. That's right.
But the defense lawyer, he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart.
Don't you know reality? Attorneys can be both defense and prosecutors, depending on the case. Accomplished young law practitioners cannot choose their roles. And imagine what it would mean for the prosecution to know that strategies commonly employed by the defense. A devastating combination, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
I have no doubt that Kazuma will be a razor sharp as a prosecutor.
But why Kazuma-sama? Surely there are other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain.
It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to this trial.
You asked for this? But why?
It'll all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? Although, the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation.
I'm surprised such a personal request would have been upheld. It seems unprecedented. Quite exceptional, in fact.
You are quite right, Miss Mikotoba. Tomorrow's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors, the pride of the Empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as a judicacy closing ranks.
So why are you happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution?
So that's why you're happy. Ryunosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed. After practicing law in this land for so many months.
Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me now.
This isn't going to end well, my friend. The killer's gun.
Oh yes, we noticed that there was a gun at the scene of Inspector Grigson's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zeeks?
That would be a question for the lead detective investigating the scene.
Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask someone higher up who might know. That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct!
It's certainly a model that is issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes. Which includes prosecutors, as I'm sure you are aware. You can imagine.
In that case, it could actually have belonged to the victim.
No, Gregson had his gun on his person. What about Lord Van Zeeks? He claims it's currently not in his possession.
What?
According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little suspicious.
But just because his gun in question is the same type as the defendant's is no proof that it's actually his.
No, of course not.
Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zeeks.
Okay, what else? What about the policeman figurine?
Could I show you this, Lord of Strongheart?
Your Justice, I will not help your evidence.
What about my armband?
You don't like it, God!
I guess that's much of everything, I guess.
Okay, I guess that's everything then. I've got nothing else to say or talk to you about. I'm sorry for all the worry I've caused you, but I'll be alright now.
Your memory's completely returned?
Yes, completely. I remember everything, including what I was coming here to do.
Right. Kazuma-sama, I can't tell you how happy I am to see that you're alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia?
It was the voice. This past year, I've been hearing it in my head constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London. That's where your destiny awaits. It was the voice that guided me here to London.
I'm so sorry for what happened.
Anyway, my memory might have returned to me, but there's something that won't return to the way it was before.
Huh? What do you mean?
I am a prosecutor now, so I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to glean so much more from here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down as our empire's history. There's much you could learn from the public gallery. Sorry to have taken up so much of your time. We'll see ourselves out.
Hold it!
Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you.
Kazuma-sama, what?
You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the oceans in my stead. And you carried out my role to perfection.
You always were intent on studying British law in order to change our own justice system. It's your dream, and Mr. Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you.
Yes, but I had another purpose for coming here.
Oh?
I actually have a favor to ask, which is, this trial I'll be prosecuting tomorrow, I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me, as the defense counsel. But what's this all about? I know you have what it takes. But Lord Van Zieks would never put his faith in my hands. On the contrary, he recognizes your talents. He does? It's not easy to see behind his the facade sometimes. Here, look at this. Aww. Oh, this is actually a really nice picture. So there's his brother, there's Van Zieks, and there's Gregson. Aww, Gregson looks so happy.
That's Lord Van Zieks and Inspector Gregson.
And this photograph must have been taken some time ago, by the looks of it. And who's that third person? Ryunosuke, you are forgetting the most baseline information. It was displayed very prominently in the detective's office. Inspector Gregson's office, you mean? Yes. What I'm trying to say is that if you really think you can trust the Reaper, then you might find that some straight talking makes him take a different view. Take it. I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours at the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? Bye-bye! Oh, I guess we're going to prison. Gonna go talk to Van Zieks again. Lord Van Zieks is still reading that letter.
We've been gone for some time, though.
Either he's an incredibly slow reader, or it's an incredibly long letter. I might be able to read English faster than he can. Are you roasting me? I was intending to ignore you entirely. But I can't turn a deaf ear to such insulting Nipponese. Oh, sorry. I didn't think you could hear that. I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time.
Yes, we've heard that your trial is set for tomorrow.
Which is none of your business. So, have you found a lawyer? How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This has nothing to do with you. In other words, no.
We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided.
I expect nothing less, though I have no idea who it is. It's going to be Kazuma Asagi. Asagi? That made the color drain from his face. Well then. It seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again, after all. "10 years ago, my older brother, who was the director of prosecutions at the time, was murdered. And the killer, as you know, was a visiting student from the Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name of the Asogi.
Genshin Asogi was Kazuma-sama's father.
So what cruel twist of fate is this now, 10 years later? The man's son is to crucify me in some kangaroo court.
I still don't understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you.
It's what he does. No doubt he knew the man's true identity from the outset.
What could he have been hoping to achieve?
And let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Kazuma recovered his amnesia. Why would Lord Strongheart assign this trial to someone like that?
Asogi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. The bane that is you Nipponese.
Right, your hatred of all us Japanese.
It was only been appointed as a prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother Clint, the director of the prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer.
The so-called professor.
Assigned to the investigation as his partner. He was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard.
And that was Genshin Asagi?
Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous in the extreme to me. But none of us saw the true nature of that man. So I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, any semblance of right prevailing over wrong.
Oh, how awful.
To avenge my brother, I prosecuted Asogi's trial. I wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed, but I beleaguered the ascribed prosecutor until he consented.
What do you mean by the ascribed prosecutor?
The man in charge of the prosecution's case inquiry, Lord Mail Strongheart.
Wait, what? Lord Strongheart?
He was a highly accomplished prosecutor, but he agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Since that time, he was the one whom I felt indebted.
I was sure he had seen your zeal in the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor.
Anyway, as time passed, but earlier this year, whom should arrive in London but you?
Ah!
And of all things, as a lawyer.
I felt your animosity the first time I faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious deep loathing of us Japanese.
I kept telling myself it was illogical. But for so many years, that hatred had festered inside me. I could no longer contain it.
And I understand why, now that I know your history.
But in the same way that I long felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life. To Kazuma Asogi, I am the bane of his, the reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He is looking for revenge and intends to take it in court tomorrow. Gregson's transfer to the Paris Police Prefecture had finally been arranged in the coming month. But he'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy.
Oh, yes. Come to think of it, he did mention something about that, didn't he?
I wonder, does it happen often? Being transferred internationally, I mean.
It is the first time I've ever encountered it.
Oh.
The Paris police welcoming an English detective is most inconceivable. I can't imagine any kind of magic Gregson must have worked. The kind of magic Gregson must have worked in to put that arrangement in place.
It sounds like a mystery has
Even the Reaper perplexed.
I'm afraid to say that we were very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We hear that he was considered something of a legend in Scotland Yard.
Again, it was 10 years ago that he first made a name for himself by uncovering the decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, this discovery would have never been made.
What sort of approach?
After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy.
Oh my, 10 years ago?
Why is that so surprising?
Autopsy was considered a desecration of a body at the time, and rarely performed. And my brother was of course noble. That made the idea even more unthinkable. But something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determined in what it was necessary. His powerful convictions somehow influenced the House of Lords, as a result was avenged by my brother's death.
So you must have had great confidence in the inspector's abilities then. Or... yeah, okay.
It was even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life.
I don't have the confidence in anyone.
Oh,
I'm sure Gregson felt the same way. I doubt he thought of me only as an ominous reaper, just like the rest of London.
What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of the relationship? About the gun used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene.
Ah, yes, that's not mine.
Really? Because common opinion seems to be that it is.
What do you expect me to say to that?
Lord Strongheart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm.
As embarrassing as it is, I'm afraid that's true.
When did you lose it then?
That I don't know.
Oh,
I was issued a revolver when I first became a prosecutor 10 years ago. I must have stowed it away somewhere, I suppose, or left it somewhere, perhaps.
you have something in common with Lord Van Zieks after all, Mr. Naruhodo. A talent for misplacing things.
No, this has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it.
Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese. Baka.
Oh dear, the rift is quite wide, isn't it?
So it's not a decisive evidence, clearly. But it doesn't look good that's for sure. Presenting...
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-bow.
Lord Van Zieks, we came by this old photograph.
Where did you get that?
It was taken when
I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was long lost.
Is the man on the left there?
Yes, that's my brother, Clint.
Details of Gregson's photograph has been upgraded on the court record. Seriously, Naruhodo? You really couldn't piece that together? It had to be, really. Apparently, this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know. Were you aware of that?
Respect? That's nonsense.
No, we've heard someone attest to that clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less.
Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time when things were like that. We were brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice, and the others such lofty subjects matter.
How old are these characters? Van Zieks is 33.
Gregson was 45? Okay. It was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you. I feel as though I got a nice glimpse of the past too. There's also a glimmer in his light, in his eyes. A brief twinkle. An insight into the true nature of this man known as the Stone Cold Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, that's the first time he's ever used my actual name. I have lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in. What's that? That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom. A simple determination to know the truth. Lord Van Zeeks. From the very first time we clashed in the Bailey, almost a year ago now, I couldn't deny it, even though I dearly wished I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. There was only two other men I'd known with the same look in their eyes. My brother Clint and Genshin Asogi. The man he idolized is a man who betrayed his trust in the most heinous ways. When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me. You mean this photograph? Back then I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. I looked at the future with hope. Since then, I've protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. But at times the mirror into which I've sunk makes it almost impossible to breathe. I'm so sorry. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to believe in that look in your eyes. I need to believe in it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me? Of course I will. It'll be an honor.
I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo.
Then my life is in your hands. For Lord Van Zeeks, that must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Which is why I simply cannot let the man down. Tomorrow, in the Old Bailey, against my old friend Kazuma. To be continued! Bah, bah, bah. Well then, probably right into trial, alright? Second of November, the Old Bailey. I think I'm gonna get through this first introduction section and then get into the court and then save there. There's the old familiar feeling again. Crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no, it's a little different today. There's even more menacing tension in the air.
There is a menacing tension in the air today, isn't there, I suppose?
Yes, I think so. It can only be the result of a menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please.
Oh my, I do apologize.
However, you are certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details, however. I understand that no jury has been selected. Really?
A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago.
A closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows! Mr. Sholmes, have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? An outright victory of science, if you must agree. To be perfectly honest, so much has happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Ah, what to one man is a little hair problem is another day of drinking dubious potions after dubious potions. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning.
Oh dear, how awful for you.
I'm afraid you have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to say you're looking full of vim. Good, I didn't misread who was reading. And you, I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow, compared to my paltry engagements with the few trivial trials. The Reaper's overbearing presence is far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there is at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor. That would be your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes, after all, behind this lawyer is a very great mind, my own. What are you trying to say? I wished only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, my Reaper. Sorry to barge in.
Sorry to barge in.
Gina. What's that on her arm? It's a mourning band, I suppose. Or is it a detective band?
Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium?
It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with a police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over this past year.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there's some few fruits to see.
Odo.
Oh, yes, Gina?
Why'd you have to agree to this, eh? Why'd you have to take him on? This Reaper bloke. Everyone says it was him who what killed the boss.
I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that.
Well, if it weren't him, who was it?
I don't know that yet.
I don't care who calls him what. Reaper's just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out it was him who what killed the boss, then God help him.
Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing.
Huh?
At least that may be some solace to the deceased.
But please, Odo. Get whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. So you gotta find out who did this and make the wretch pay.
Counsel for defence and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way into the courtroom at once, please. All right then, here we go.
It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zeeks.
Okay. My God. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. Ugh. all that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shed a light on all the dark events. And whatever the truth is revealed, we're going to have to look at it straight in the eye. What is the 5th trial going to be then? Because this is the 4th one in this game, so there's something else leading up. This is going to be a long one, I'm guessing. Oh, yep, there we go. No jury trial this time. But that's going to be it then. We did the investigation, we did all of that. Only 3 hours as well, which is much quicker than the other ones were. The other ones took like an extra hour, but then again I was also talking a lot. Nevertheless, back to title. It's really surprising that they killed Gregson off. I mean, I guess they did like make him like quite sympathetic in the last few cases, making him like actually like help you out and everything. But man, he was such a British guy. He was like one of the quintessential British people of all time, and damn, they killed him off. As if he's dead. People have been said to died and come back. So who knows? We haven't seen a picture yet, but I'm sure we will soon in the court. Anyway, Lord Van Zeeks is going to be our defendant. Gregson is the victim, and who knows who is the murderer. If I had to guess, it's going to be someone quite prominent that we've already been seeing. Those 2 redhead people that showed up at the start are probably going to be the witnesses, if the game is as it is. Nevertheless, we're starting to dig into that Pandora's box, aren't we? We opened it up last time, and now we're starting to head first into it. And I'm only sure that the 5th case is going to continue it even more so. If I had to guess, my ultimate conclusion is going to be, we're going to find that Sholmes is going to be the one that we state is most likely the culprit, and then the 5th trial is going to be defending Sholmes. That is what I'm coming to some degree. Okay. For all those that have come and tuned in and watched this, thanks for watching. Thanks for getting this far. We'll see you next time on Wednesday for Great Ace Attorney. Tuesday's going to be something else. Not sure what. In any case, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.